and welcome to Rivalry Week, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. We're here joined by Fanatic Perspective, Mr. Steven Nash Talks Texas. Mr. Nash, how we doing, fellas?
Yo, 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 it's that time of the year.
I'm doing good. I mean, hey, this if you're a Texas Longhorn season ticket holder, you've been looking forward to this game ever since we joined the SEC. Like this has been probably the one that you've circled on your calendar as the one that you're most excited for.
Yeah, I mean it's always tough for me because OU is my favorite day. Well, I don't know where Nash went, but OU is always my favorite day of the year. But with the lull of having no Texas and Texas A&M game for over a dozen years, that to me is why this game's maybe it means a little bit more for the pride. I don't know. It's tough to decide. I don't think you can go wrong either way. It's fun to hate on rivals regardless if it's OU or A&M. Go ahead, guys. Hop on over to InsideTexas.com right now. You can subscribe for $1. One whole book, and you can find some of the best game day analysis, in-depth analysis on game planning, recruiting news. Got it all. Go check it out. Got a couple more weeks of the season, and the game day forums are always a blast. But back to the show, one whole buck. Nash has said he's got one of your subscriptions right there in his pocket, ready to rock.
I got one.
But all right, Steve, I'm going to start with you, brother. When you look at this Texas A&M team, I mean, these guys are 11-0. Handled their business. They do have the Notre Dame win, but there's a lot of talk about the schedule. So when you look at this A&M team, what kind of jumps out at you? What impresses you? And then what do you think about their schedule? I mean, 11 wins is 11 wins at the end of the day. But do you think there's any credence to all the people that are kind of giving them a little bit of noise for having not really beat anybody yet?
Yeah, I mean, it does resemble a lot of the smoke we got last year with our schedule, right? There's a lot of commonalities with a lot of what people are saying, and it just goes to, again, what conference are we in? Are we in a top heavy conference? Are we in a gauntlet conference? What type of conference are we in? Because they have not played Georgia, Bama, us yet. OU. I totally get that, right? But that's also not under their control. I mean, it's the same thing we dealt with last year. You have to play the hand that the cards are dealt, right? So I'm reluctant to just dismiss them because of the schedule. The Notre Dame win is legit to me. I know it was really, really close, down to the wire game very early in the season. Notre Dame is, to me, a different ball club today. I think they're much better. I think A&M is better today. So I don't want to underestimate this A&M team by any means. What stands out to me more than the schedule is how they've won games. They've been in some really, really scary situations, most notably South Carolina, which was supposed to be a layup, right, a couple weeks ago, and they end up down 30-3 at halftime. I think it's really impressive to come back and win that game. All things considered. I mean, a lot of teams probably would have got upset right there. So they have mental toughness. They are well coached. There's a reason why Mike Elko got an extension. I think Colin Klein has been a lot better this year. I think it's easier to be better when you have better weapons. And a quarterback that's a year older. And an offensive line that is full of, super seniors and juniors. So I'm very impressed with this A&M team. I think they're very balanced. I think they're going to be a tough competitor coming into DKR. But because of those up and down games and those mad performances versus teams like Auburn, teams like South Carolina, as a Texas fan, you're definitely thinking, all right, well, these guys are definitely beatable because we feel like we're battle tested, right? We feel like we've faced a lot. We faced a lot of different styles of teams. So there are some matchups that we're going to go into that I think are favorable for Texas on Friday.
No, I agree with you, man. That's well said. It's kind of crazy how going back a year ago, looking at the game on the November 30th of 2024, how the script has been flipped in so many ways. Like you just said, obviously Texas has received a lot of talk last year about the schedule that they had. My scream was, hey, we beat every single one of these teams by double digits outside of Vanderbilt. We can't help who we play. It's not our fault. We're beating the teams that are on our schedule. Well, now some of our guys are over here making the cry about A&M. And again, at the end of the day, you just prove it when you get on the field versus one another. That's how you settle these things. A&M did win a 3-point game versus Arkansas. They won a 3-point game versus South Carolina. Obviously, the Notre Dame win was a long time ago. But like you said, Stephen, they've won a lot of different ways. They've won shootouts, they've won on the road, they've won at home, they've won low scoring games. And so, like, yeah, I think the culture is definitely improving under Mike Elko, and I think that was something that if you pay any attention to college football, you knew that it would, moving a lot away from Jimbo Fisher. But yeah, I mean, you got to call it how it is. You're 11-0. Like, I mean, you're going to be doing a lot of impressive things on the football field, and you're still going to have some haters out there, you know. And so that's nothing that's surprising. Nash, when you look at Marcel Reed, is he what makes this A&M offense go? Is it Colin Klein? Is it a very, very talented and deep receiving room? The O line. What do you think?
I would say it's, man, they remind me of a team, right? Like just a collective whole, right? Uh, if you were to find like focus on one receiver or something like that, you're going to see some drops, you're going to see some things, you're going to see some missteps. But they're like to almost like to what Steven was saying. I mean, this team is they're this close to being a 4-loss team, but the devil's in the details. And like you look at the last game they had versus South Carolina, I mean, the wide receivers were dropping balls all over the place in the first half. They come home, they come in, they clean it up in the second half. They picked up Marcel Reed. They're like, hey, you're giving us some good, accurate, catchable footballs. We need to be taking advantage of this. I mean, there's plenty of times that I think that their receivers have been the difference makers in some of these games. But just then you look at the offensive line. Well, their offensive line has been one of the best offensive lines in the country as far as keeping quarterback clean. I get Marcel Reed as an athletic guy. Sacks can also be a quarterback stat, but they also allow the fewest pressures, or one of the fewest. They're one of the least pressure rate teams in the country. So, and then you look at I'm not sure what the status is with Moss and all that stuff, but I mean, like Owens, they've had guys come. They've had guys step up, right? They've had Smith step up, right? I mean, it's just to me, they're one whole complete unit, right? And if one area is going to start lacking, the other is going to start stepping up and take some of the charge.
Yeah, and that's a good point that Victor's making right here. Yeah, you can say that for
yeah.
almost everybody at this point. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, A&M has played a handful of close games. It could easily have maybe 3 or 4 losses. Texas could easily be 6-5. It is what it is. Credit both teams for finding ways to win. Definitely. I mean, the South Carolina first half was one of the craziest. I've watched a lot of A&M football. I watched a lot of Oklahoma football. I love college football. Our rivals matter, and they have a direct correlation on what goes on with Texas. So yeah, of course I'm going to watch those guys, but that's one of the worst halves of A&M football I can ever remember watching. Like it was hilarious. I was having such a good time, but also knew that it was 90%, if maybe not that much, not giving South Carolina enough credit. At least 3/4 of it felt like it was all self-inflicted. And like if A&M just put it together at all, the points were going to be scored and probably in a hurry. And we do apologize for running live right before the volleyball game starts. Kentucky, Tennessee went a little bit late. Looks like Texas and A&M will have a little bit later start. But yeah, that's where I'll be going as soon as this is over. Got my kiddo in the background keeping me updated. But yeah, definitely a cool matchup. Texas and A&M on the volleyball court, the 2 and 3 seeds in the SEC. But yeah, I mean, for me, I agree with you, Nash. They are a complete unit. They're able to run the ball. They can run the ball on the edges. They can run the ball on the interior. They don't just have one receiver that can beat you. Concepcion, Craver, and now the emergence of Bethel Roman, who's done good things all year, but he's had to be relied on here in the last couple of weeks for A&M. And so, yeah, they are talented. If Marcel is playing well at all, it's not that they're unstoppable, but that's when they're really, really clicking well. So, Marcel, I mean, we've seen him be a little bit inconsistent. Steven, is this a guy that you think has made big strides from last year? Obviously, saw Texas get a lot of pressure on Marcel that really affected him in that game. And then kind of what do you see Texas, success-wise, pass rush-wise, do you think we have success getting to Marcel again?
This is an area of concern for me. The reason being is we've allowed too many quarterbacks that we faced that are as good, if you want to say better, and some that are definitely worse than Marcel Reed on our schedule get into rhythm early. So what type of coverages do we plan on playing early in this football game? Last season, they had a really good opening drive. That A&M had a good opening script. They made the mistake and didn't take the points, and it went downhill from there. Once we, really got into the game, PK really was able to jump all over Colin Klein, and I do think in a lot of ways last year's game was a direct correlation of what A&M decided to go and do in the portal, because they couldn't win outside. I mean, there was no threat that was going to really get us, throwing the football for Marcel, even with his inexperience. Now there's guys where they can just flick the ball out there and they can go 80 yards just off a slant. I mean, very similar to what we have started to do with our guys like Ryan Wingo and Mosley and some of them, and just getting them the ball in space and just go. A&M's been doing that all year with a lot of these guys. And then they've added on the vertical passing layer, which was something that Marcel could not hit at all a year ago. Now he's better. I'd say he's an average deep ball thrower, but he doesn't. That's all he has to be, because they can threaten all three parts of the field, right? Short, intermediate, and deep. So I do think we are going to have a harder time with it just because of what he has at his disposal. I do think we still get pressure. There's not one opponent that Colin Simmons and Trey Moore and all these guys, and we're going to have to, by the way, where we haven't been able to get, some type of heat. But it's going to be tough. What does our coverage look like married to the rush? If we're blitzing, if we're sending 5, if Manny Muhammad's coming on a cat blitz, are we giving up the boundary on the other side for an easy completion where it doesn't matter, right? Like that. Those are the questions that I have for our defense, because we've allowed too many guys to get into rhythm too early, just free access, concession yardage.
I was gonna say, man, lately when I've seen Manny Muhammad rushing on a corner blitz, I've just been throwing up a little Hail Mary prayer in my thoughts real quick. That's about our one guy that can cover right now.
It's like, you better get there, Manny.
Yeah, get there. Hey, make the play no matter what, baby.
And that's the thing, man. A lot of, we're all on Twitter a lot, guys, and, there's so much conversation about Texas and the space that our DBs play off of sometimes. And just, that's what fears me, man, because A&M's pretty lethal in the screen game. Like you just said, Steven, they can take a slant, a drag, a curl, and turn it into a very big play, which makes life a lot easier on Marcel. I think the wide receivers are, and the O-line, like if I was looking at this A&M offense, I'm like, who do I want to poach, or who would I start to build a team? Like, those wide receivers and that O-line, man, are pretty dang solid. And so I think they're the most experienced O-line in the SEC. And so again, if Marcel is just average, it feels like A&M is going to move the football. Now, when things have gotten weird, if he turns the football over, if Marcel starts turning the ball over, it seems like, they kind of pile up in a hurry at times, and you saw he had multiple turnovers with the Texas game last year. South Carolina wasn't necessarily turnovers as far as throws, drop passes, but again, A&M on offense this year, they've only stopped themselves pretty much. I mean, you've seen what they've gone and done. And so, it's going to be a very tough test for Texas. Scheme-wise, PK, I think, is going to have to step up, because like Steven said a lot earlier, there's just no way A&M walked in the locker room after the 17-7 game last year, in which they didn't have 100 yards passing or rushing until the fourth quarter. And we're like, yeah, okay, let's just, let's go. We'll work harder, guys, in the offseason. We'll run that back. No, they were like, we need some dudes. We got to go find some bodies. And they went and found a couple out there on the outside. And that's probably my biggest worry is, a young Cade Phillips against a Mario Craver or a KC, or how do we defend in the slot against Bethel Roman? But is there anything on the Aggie offense does that you think the Texas defense can exploit? And I want to hear opinions from both of you on that, please.
Go ahead, Ash.
I think that, and especially lately, they've had a tendency to turn over the football too much, with interceptions and then also fumbles. And as we've seen with, I love watching the Texas Longhorns go out there and play in the NFL, because it looks exactly like what you're seeing on Saturdays here. You're watching linebackers and defensive backs sit there. They're taking full swings at the ball. There is a clear emphasis to get the ball out, and Texas has been one of the best teams at forcing the football out of opponents' hands. We do it on a rate like once a game. And whether or not we pick up the football or not, that's a different story. But I think that A&M has had a tendency to make the error that you don't want to make. Now they've obviously sitting at 11-0, they found a way to get around that and to win these games and to avoid having that be a fatal error. But I mean, in a game like this, it does feel like the turnover battle is going to be what almost decides this game. And man, that feels like something that Texas can't exploit.
You got to win the turnover battle. If we don't win the turnover battle, I feel like we have no chance, to be honest, in this game. Like we're playing with fire, and it's good on special teams outside of their place kicking. That's not something I want to mess around with. You got to find a way to turn over Marcel, protect the football on the offense. Archer's been doing a pretty good job of protecting the ball. Throws some still into tight windows, but man, like he puts balls on the money even in the tight windows. Sometimes it feels like it's so good of a throw that his receiver is shocked that it got there. We end up holding on to it, making the play. But yeah, they're a good team. Like they are, and I hate talking about A&M like that. It's so much more fun to sit here and make fun of them and, them having 4 losses already or something coming into this game. But credit Mike Elko. He's a hell of a coach. Colin Klein is a name that's being passed around throughout some Big 12 schools as far as head coaching potential. And so, yeah, he really does have A&M's offense going. Steven said, he's got better tools, but he has probably grown a little bit as a play caller, I will say. It's still a big test. Yeah, absolutely.
I've seen growth from Colin Klein for sure. Yeah, just to jump in and answer the same question. For me, I think Nash, great job on the turnover battle because that's the most important thing. For me, just getting a little bit more granular into it, the Texas run defense has to stand on business on Friday. I'm giving them a pass, and I think it's a blessing in disguise that we played Arkansas, because I don't think people realized and I knew once most Texas fans would see Arkansas, they would see what we were talking about in terms of how explosive they are in both run and pass. I think it was a really good, sign of what you'll see from a quarterback run standpoint. If I'm Colin Klein's always going to have that element in his offense, especially when he has a guy like Marcel Reed. They don't run the exact same stuff that Petrino ran, but it's adjacent. And when you look at some of the creases that Mike Washington gets because Taylor Green is holding you on the perimeter, and now they get these lanes, that's good reps for what we could potentially see. Because to me, A&M's running game is good. On paper, the metrics look solid. It's a very good complementary run game to a very good. That's why they are overall pretty much the top 10, top 15 offense across the board. But when we start digging into it, there's no, Elko said today, Le'Veon Moss is probably not going to play. So it's been a committee approach with Reed still as the catalyst in their run game. Texas has to look like the Texas we saw in the second half versus Arkansas when they really got their keys together. And all of a sudden, and I get it, there's a pass in there because Anthony Hill was not on the field. I understand that. Trey Moore had his struggles in the middle. Leonga Lafau was a little bit more comfortable there. Trey goes off ball. We're fine. But that's going to be something, even without Ty Anthony Smith in the first half, even with Anthony Hill potentially compromised, we have to make them one-dimensional. We have to that's something that was such a advantage last year, especially short yardage. People have had a tough time running up the middle on Texas. We have forced people to go to perimeter all year. None of those things can change, right? If we may get gashed in this game at a point. That has to come from the outside. If we're allowing inside runs, that's a really bad sign for the Texas defense. And now it's like, all right, either we win in a shootout or we get walked.
No, that's a really good point, man. You cannot allow A&M to be successful on the outsides. All of a sudden, the play-action game, the little leaks, stuff into the flat, which Georgia had a lot of success attacking Texas with. All those things become very, very easily done or doable for Marcel Reed and the Saggy offense. We're going to continue Rivalry Takeover Week, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors in one moment, but we're going to go to Mr. David McClellan as our first sponsor of the night.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
Alrighty, guys, let's keep it going. Is Le'Veon Moss still out? Le'Veon has not played in quite a while. Do you bring a Le'Veon Moss back if he's not 100% before a potential SEC championship game, before a potential playoff run? I don't know. That seems to be a big question, and I know that his health has been trending up. How about you guys? Y'all have any thoughts, takes, opinions, predictions on Le'Veon Moss this weekend?
So what Elko said was, he was asked, is there a chance we would see Le'Veon Moss? I think he was asked this today, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And his answer was, probably not, but we'll see. That was his answer. And then his next sentence was, yeah, but Ruben Owens and Mario Craver are really awesome. So that's what he said. He hasn't been the type of coach, though, that does the bait and all, at least from what I've seen from Elko. Nash, maybe you've seen different, but I don't know. That type of injury and how long he's been out, I think they're saving him for the playoffs, especially if they're already in. I don't see the point. If they were playing for the playoffs, I think it'd be different. It's all hands on deck, but they don't. That's not the case in this game.
No, I mean, the way that I would be. Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry, you go ahead, Nash. What do you think?
Oh, I was just gonna say. I mean, the way that I'd be approaching this is exactly how Steven said. Like, if I'm the head coach of Texas A&M, I bring back Le'Veon Moss for a game that we're already 11-0 in. Right? We're already 11-0. Yeah, sure, beating Texas, that would be nice. But we got our first ever college football playoff game coming up, SEC championship coming up. Like, I mean, if I ruin Le'Veon Moss's ability to be available for those games because I bring him back too early or something, or I just use him too much versus Texas, I would feel like an idiot. Like I'd be kicking myself later on when we get to those games, and I'm like, man, it sure would be nice to have Le'Veon Moss.
I wouldn't play him. I mean, personally, I wait, I stop and save it for the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, that's just my personal opinion. It's not being scared. It's just a matter of, hey, like, what do we have to do to have the best chance to win a national title? You know what I mean? The season's not just about beating Texas. Hate to be that guy, but you would assume that they play it safe, that he doesn't play. But I don't know for sure. So time will tell. That would be a big boost to the Aggie running game, especially on the interior. As Steven just mentioned, they didn't have a lot of success there last year. Not many teams did against Texas, and that seems to be, the strength of the Texas run defense right now. And so having Le'Veon, personally, I want him to play. I'm so tired of hearing if we would have had Le'Veon Moss last year on 4th and 1, we would have scored. I'm like, no. And they're like, yeah, you're right. He'd have got in on 3rd down.
7 yards in the backfield, you would have scored. Like that narrative.
For me, it's. I want him to play. I want everybody at full strength. I don't want any excuses. Again, that's, we're hanging out on Twitter all the time. Somebody's always going to have an excuse. I mean,
they're going to have the excuse. I mean,
all right, let's look at the other side of the football, the Texas A&M defense. Giving up 40 points twice in a game this year at Notre Dame and South Bend, Indiana. Gave up 41, gave up 42 more, and Fayetteville, Arkansas against an electric Taylon Green and Bobby Petrino offense. Truly not even knocking that. A lot of those points were late. But what are y'all's thoughts and takes? Get opinions from you both on the A&M defense overall.
Go ahead, Nash.
I think that they have the ability to have some slip ups, and obviously give up some points in some games, like as they've shown was against some really good offenses. But man, this is a good defense. Like I'm not about to sit here and start ragging on this defense. This defense, and then also not only they've been playing over the last 3 weeks, they've been playing at a really good, really high level. So I know that's hard to say with the South Carolina game, the first week of the South Carolina game, but still, I mean, in my opinion, that this defense, Mike Elko has clearly brought an attitude and a mentality with him from Duke, and that culture is already there in year 2. And so I just, man, I have nothing but respect for that Texas A&M defense. I think they're going to go out there and they're going to give us one heck of a game. And I mean, Arch Manning and this Texas offense, they're going to have to earn it. Now, the one area that I think the Texas A&M defense is really kind of suspect in, they've been consistently the worst rushing defense in the country. I know I've made some Texas A&M fans upset about a post saying, where I say, hey, if you remove the sack yards, that that shows that they're the worst rush defense in the country, because sacks in college football get counted against rushes instead of passes like they do in the NFL. I mean, you're dropping back for a pass. It's a pass play. But Texas A&M, to that point, not only do they get a lot of sacks, but it's a little bit different than Texas. Texas will get a lot of sacks, but don't sack for a lot of games. Texas A&M is forcing guys that way when they're sacking dudes. So they're sacking, and they're putting you in second and third in the mile real quick. And so, I mean, it's just one of these deals where as much as they have a really suspect suspect rushing defense, Texas has a suspect rushing offense. And until I see it happen, I've only seen it happen versus Ohio State and Oklahoma. Now, maybe it happens because we're in a big game versus a big opponent like those 2 games, but I'm still in. I will see it when I believe it most for the offense.
I'm gonna need to see a throwback performance from our run game, Trey Wisner and that crew, and what they did in College Station last year. Now they're going to be able to replicate that type of success. I don't know if that's also game flow mattered too. The type of game we became in was a very defensive, tight battle where there was some red zone errors on both teams, but for the most part it was we kind of got a lead and sat on it, right? And that's the way Sark decided to win the game, which was totally fine, especially with how injured Quinn Ewers was at the time. I thought that was the right way to play that particular game. So we didn't see, probably the full menu of offense against Elko like we typically would have shown against other opponents. I mean, I'm probably going to do Nash using your clips. I'll probably do a rewatch on this Wednesday night for anybody that's interested, where we just rewatch last year's game. But game flow mattered a lot in that, and we had a lot of success with outside zone and just getting to the perimeter and gashing them. But to Nash's point, they are a lot better this year against the run. They are susceptible to it. My thing is, we have to stay balanced. We can't allow this game to become Arch Manning. And even with the as well as he's playing, he's balling, and what he's doing pre-snap and what he's got going on. This isn't the type of defense where you just go in there with no run game. That can't be the case. We have to stay balanced to protect our defense, to help Arch be good in those situational moments, so it's not just all tilted on him. I mean, Cassius Howe, 11 plus sacks this season. They got guys up front. They got some real dudes up front that can play, and they've got a lot of experience. Even after losing Bryce, they got a lot of experience back there in that secondary. Those guys have seen a lot of football. So we're going to have to stay balanced. But I do think that if we can run the ball, now we get into their biggest strength as a defense, which is they are the number 1 defense in the country on third down. I think they only allow 24% conversion rate on third down as a defense, which is outstanding. That's really where we were last year as a defense. We were top 3 in third down all year. When Texas has been successful in against the OUs and the Vanderbilts, we were converting third downs, but we were also not beating ourselves with holding penalties and procedural stuff and pre-snap penalties. We were in third and favorables. We have to stay in third and favorables. And to me, the only way to do that is you're going to need your run game to be present with you in Austin.
Yeah, I mean it's an exotic defense. It's a defense that'll probably only get better as Elko continues to develop and find guys that fit his system. I really do like, they have improved at cornerback. I'll definitely say that. They're very handsy out there. I talked about that a little bit with Drew last night on Drew Tamu's show. We'll see how it's called, but they're more like an Oklahoma team that is, and I sound like a bitter punk right now. They're more like an Oklahoma team they're gonna mug on just about every play and dare you to throw a flag. They know officials aren't gonna sit there and throw flags on almost every play or even half of the plays, and so our receivers got to be aggressive. You're got to be physical, be cool. We saw Wingo go up last week in traffic. And not like a true 50-50 ball, but I was like, all right, you can see the confidence and obviously the explosion, the athleticism, all those things. But yeah, how do we handle his blitz packages? How do we handle the third down and mediums or third and longs? We'll be getting into those. Do we have any success there? Hopefully we don't see it. Hopefully Texas is putting them in really good shape on third downs with, execution on first and second down. But, that to me, the big takeaway is I think they really improved the corner in comparison to last year. I think they're still very, very exotic, very, very aggressive. Obviously Torian York's been mentioned, but he's a very cerebral. I mean, a coach on the field that's super athletic, man. He's a great player. The linebacker group might be the strongest position group on that defense. Sanford's, really kind of emerged a little bit. They have Scooby Williams has been knocked up some. So yeah, Sanford had to replace him and got a lot of experience there. But no, I mean A&M, Elko makes that defense what it is, in my opinion. I think that's the best thing about that defense is him being the caller of the games that he is. I think he has a really good pulse and feel for a lot of what OCs are trying to do. But again, they've given up some points, they've given up some yards, they've given up their own. Yep, sorry about that. It slipped. I watched it the other day. It's a really good movie. Haven't seen it in a while, but no, I can't even think of the guy who's in it since so long since I've seen it. But yeah, I mean, I got respect for the defense because of Elko, but I do think that Texas is a lot of areas that we can attack them. I do think our running game will be better, than it's been against most teams this season. I think Albert Regis and the guys on the A&M interior do a pretty decent job. But as far as, it's not like what we saw with Oklahoma or what we saw with Georgia. And so, maybe more on par with what we saw opening week versus Ohio State. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Y'all think that Texas is able to run the ball any against this A&M front?
They need to. I mean, but to go back to your original question about Elko and dealing with the blitz packages, that starts with Sark. That's the matchup, is Elko versus Sark. And what answers will he have for Arch, for this offensive line, when they get into certain looks, when they get into certain scenarios? Will it be some of the more creative inside screen type stuff? We've started to see the screen game develop as the offensive line has stabilized and the receivers have matured in their perimeter blocking. We know there's still more in there. Right now, I'm with you on Torian York. Typically, screens are a little bit harder to navigate when you have a very, very cerebral guy in the middle that can sniff stuff out. But things like that, just to make that hesitation, right, in terms of them as blitzers, so they don't just think that they have free money, boots, rolls, all sorts of things that Sark has been known to implement. I mean, again, we saw a lot of some of these looks last year, and Sark had to be very conservative with Quint because of the foot and whatever his ankle, whatever it was last year when he was wearing the boot, right? And so he had to be very, very, now with an Arch who's mobile, where there's quarterback run involved. I think I'm curious to see what answers Sark will have for those pre-snap and both with some of the more exotic looks. What beater does he have to counter some of those looks?
Hey, man, after that last game, man, throw Caldwell in a quarterback and put Arch at wide receiver. Let's run a trick play like that. Let's really confuse this defense, man. Do a little quick toss out to the backwards pass to Arch Manning, set up a pass downfield. We love that. But I just, like I said earlier, I'll see it when I believe it mode with this Texas running offense. Now they do have a really good look going up against this Texas A&M rushing defense, but I'll see it. Something that's just absolutely scaring the ever living crap out of. Now I shouldn't say scaring the crap out of me, but I've already said it. So A&M fans, go ahead and have fun with that. A&M has been one of the best fourth quarter teams, especially scoring the football, not only in the second half but just in the fourth quarter. Texas has been one of the worst teams in the country, especially over the last 3 weeks, allowing fourth quarter points and allowing second half points. This is just one of these deals where Texas has got to. We have to find a way to finish a football game and to not allow them to have that big. Because A&M, they are a team that they're down, or they have a game. They're up 3 points to Auburn. They're able to squeak, get a good drive at the end to make that a 10-16 ball game. Now Auburn has to go and get a touchdown to win. They win by 6 points, right? They win by 1 point to South Carolina. Obviously, everybody knows how that was. They were down 28-3 at the half. Then you go and you look at LSU. They're down 18-14, and then what happens after that? It turns into a 49-25 ball game. It's a completely different. Like if you watch the second half of that LSU game, you'd be like, "Wait, LSU was winning at any point?" No. Like there's not like it was from the start of the second half. It's not like hey, LSU started or Texas A&M started turning on. No. The very start of the second half, they turned that crap on. And then you look at Notre Dame. I mean, this is a team that they found a way to survive games. And to me, that's the most dangerous team that you can run into. The team that just doesn't know how to lose.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Ghost.
Sorry, muted myself. Well said by both you. Quick score report: Texas volleyball with an early half-dozen-point lead on A&M. Set 1. Always good to hear that. A&M won the first 2 sets before Texas won the next 2. A&M won set 5 on Halloween night at Reed Arena. But no, I mean, life would be so much easier for this Texas offense if we found a ground game. And the way that Arch Manning's looking, the growth of the wide receiver room is still not like an outworldly group or anything, but God, just imagine Texas goes and runs for 180 or 200 in this thing, and then Arch and Texas are able to run some of the play action things, and people actually bite on a 2nd and 6 run attempt. I laughed last week because one of the Arkansas backers jumped up on a 2nd and 10 on the play fake, and I was like, "Yeah, buddy, you just don't know, I guess, or you weren't paying attention to film room." But
well, it's like that clip that everybody was like, "Yeah, look at this protection that Arch. Imagine if he has this over a full season." It's like.
I'm just saying,
they're rushing 3 off of a pulling guard, right?
I'm saying, I'm coaching guys though. We're not falling for any play fakes that Texas is running until.
I want the run game.
So real quick, guys, let's get to Miss Laura Baker as our second sponsor of the evening, and rivalry takeover week will continue here.
If you're looking for a home in the Austin area, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. Laura's a part of the elite Andy Allen team at Keller Williams Realty. She's helped Longhorns find their dream homes all over Central Texas. You can just ask our very own Ian Boyd, who moved from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Whether you're searching in Austin, Round Rock, Georgetown, San Marcos, or even parts of the 254 or the 210, Laura has you covered. So call 512-784-0505, or you can email her at laura@andyallenteam.com. She's a Longhorn, a friend of Inside Texas, and the person you need to call to get your next home in Central Texas. Call Laura Baker today. Contact info is in the description.
All right, guys. I got Laura Baker ready to move you all to Austin, Texas, get you all here to watch the big game Friday. And Homer, I'm going to pop this comment back on the screen. Their run fits are suspect. But does Texas have the bodies? Do we have the O-line? Do we have the running backs to take advantage? I don't know. For you gentlemen, what would you consider to be a successful day on the ground? Successful enough to help Texas win, obviously.
For me, it would be what we saw versus OU, where we're productive on the dirty runs, right? Let's say it's 3rd and 2, and I want to be able to run the football there, right? Or a 2nd and 4, moving the chains. It's not the sexiest run, but they're productive runs. And those are some of the things why we had the metrics ended up having a successful 3rd down where you're 13 or 14 of 20 or whatever the percentage was on 3rd down. So, and then in there, when you're wearing somebody down, especially aggressive pass rush, now we get the explosive. But we also get the benefit of just keeping Marcel Reed in that explosive offense. There's so many benefits, right? But if I can get the one from OU or something like that, which is not crazy, right? Like when you go back and look at that, we had an explosive run, I think, for like 37 yards, but the rest of it was like honestly 4 yards a carry. We were just able to stick to it because they were able to be productive on the 3rd and 2s and the obvious short yardage plays, right? It's where we run the ball on 2nd and 1 and we don't get it, or those type of moments where we start to just go all the way away from the run game, right? And that some of those moments crept up in the Arkansas game that were a little frustrating, where it's like, we're trying to run it on 3rd and 2 or whatever, 3rd and 3, and he gets 2 yards. You know what I mean? So if we can just be productive there, maintain possession, and it's just complimentary, to me, that's good enough.
How about you, Nash? What constitutes a successful and winning day for Texas on the ground?
I think and shout out to Texas Homer on this one. When you're looking at Texas A&M, something that they've done they've done really well at is, despite not having a great run game, they haven't abandoned the pass defense. So they're almost like sacrificing the run game, the defensive run game. They're saying, "Hey, we're going to give you something, but we're taking this away." Right? If you can force A&M out of that, if you can force A&M to say, finally, we're going to stack the box, right? We're going to have to load up this thing and try and stop this run, because that's the only way that we have a chance to stay in this ball game. If you can do that to A&M, then you're forcing them to do something they haven't done that much this year. So in my opinion, that's a success right there. I don't know if that there's necessarily a certain number that has to be behind that. This team, we haven't hit 4 yards per carry since Sam Houston State. The Oklahoma game was like 3.9 yards per carry. It was close, but that was a good enough game. We're getting the runs that we are getting, that we're going for extra yards. Trey Wisner, this is going to have to be one of those dog days. I just need my guys to be dogs out there on the field. I need, like, Anthony Hill on defense. I need you to be a dog. Colin Simmons, I need you to be a dude. Malik Muhammad, I need you to be a dude. I need my dudes to be dudes out there. And Trey Wisner, like you said, like y'all said earlier, we kind of need that game from him, where it's like, hey, you got Trey Wisner on the bike over there on the sideline, and he's sitting there. He looks like he's barely alive.
I want to be good situationally in the ground game. That's where I need to be good. If we have a 3rd and 4, we're able to run an inside zone and pick it up, just to keep A&M a little bit off balance. And Mike Elko, who wants to be so heavy with his blitz packages and so exotic with his packages on 3rd down, us to be able to keep them on their toes just a little bit. We're not going to go in here and just like set records in this game. Like that is clear. What can Texas do on the ground? Now let's go through the air. Predict Arch Manning's stat line for this one, guys.
That's interesting. He's been dealing, right? And I think, I don't know, man. I think if the number gets too high, then are we in a shootout? Are we losing? Are we down? Are we down by a lot where we're having to throw? So I feel like a good aggressive number is probably somewhere between 250 and 275 for me, where he's able to have some of those chunk plays, whatever. But we're not just totally relying solely on our passing game, and that's also in respect to their pass defense as well. And talking about just trying to have that balance. So I'd probably be in that range. I also think this is a game where he will need to use his legs. Quinn used them a little bit last year in certain scenarios. I do think that may be a counter to that. Now, when I say use your legs, I'm not talking about running a damn quarterback keeper on 3rd and 14. Okay. But where it makes sense, right? I do think his legs will be a factor in this game, and he had the first touchdown in the game last year with his package. So he's at least felt what this energy is like for this game, and was a big character early in that game last year. But that's where I would keep it between 250, 270, and then adding in some yards on the ground for Arch.
I'm just laughing at the thought about the 3rd and 15 run. Sark, there, I finally ran it. Y'all happy? No, we're not happy. No, we're not happy. Guessing because that's what this is. It's a guess for Arch Manning's line. I'm gonna go with 300. I kind of agree with what you were saying there, Steven, because especially if you do have this run game working against a team that Texas A&M, who really hasn't been good against the rush. What we know about Steve Sarkisian is if he has any sort of a lead that's sizable, he is and the run game is working, he's going to run that ball, and like he'll run it 10 times in one drive if he can. He wants to chew as much time off the clock as possible. I think that I got Arch Manning. I'll do 300. He goes like 32 attempts, like 60% completions. Has some really nice big plays in there. I would say like probably 3 touchdowns through the air, but just a really solid, efficient day. And I would say this too: when you're looking at Arch Manning, he's only had 2 interceptions since the start of the Oklahoma game. And really, if you even go past that, the Florida game, the 2 interceptions that he had in the Florida game, that was more or less we're down like 18 points or something like that, and we're down 3 scores, and he's just trying to force the ball and to get us back, to will us back into the game or something like that. So this is just one of those deals where he's taken really, really good care of the football, and I think he's going to continue to do that going into this game. And I think that might be one of the, like we were talking about earlier, the turnover differential. I mean, I think that him taking care of the football might be the difference in this game right now.
If this was a prop bet, I would put almost all everything in the world on the over on that. But Texas ran the ball, if Arch had under 25 passing attempts, that means Texas did a little bit on the ground.
I would be like, did he get hurt?
I mean, 25. Like they got me some crazy odds on it. The overside is going to be like about minus 350 on that. That's going to be a pretty fat juice on that. But I will say that if we run the ball, the way that I expect us to, which I don't know. I mean, I'm taking that over. I know that Nash said that he hadn't had a ton of over 25 attempt. Yeah, we're gonna throw the ball a little bit because I do expect A&M to score the football.
No, he had one that low.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like he.
I was about to say. Hold on a minute. I should have fact checked you first, because that did not sound right. I know, and I feel like Mississippi threw it 50 times. I feel like in that one. But yeah, so give me your one guy, assuming Texas wins this, the one guy that Friday night every Texas fan is going to be like, that dude. He was that dude. He made the play, or he had the game to help get us there. Obviously, can be offense, defense, special teams. Ryan Niblus available. Who you got?
You want to go first? Yeah.
I'll go first. I think Cade Phillips. He's going to get tested. If I'm Colin Klein, I'm testing him.
Yeah.
Wherever I'm putting, even if it's in 2-on-2s and quarters or whatever coverages we're in. He's, the metrics are good on Cade, and he's the pass breakup thing that came out today with him and Grayson Littleton leading the team, but that also means that people are trying you. He got tried in the Georgia game with Noah Thomas. I'm sure they saw some things there, especially in short yardage, right? Not even necessarily down the field throws, but just in general, right? Where can we shake his confidence? I think if we come away winning and Cade Phillips is one of our best players, things went really well that day in terms of him rising to the challenge, trusting his technique, and just playing while he's on the field. There's a lot of young corners playing around the country nowadays. If they let you go out there and play with technique and get tested, do what you got to do. But I think Cade Phillips is going to be a big, big player in this game. that either swings the balance for Texas or potentially A&M if he doesn't play well. Excuse me.
What you got, Nash?
Yeah,
Curious to see it.
I was really worried that Steven was going to go ahead and take mine. Ethan Burke. I think that Ethan Burke. I just got a feeling, man, that like he had that obviously that big tackle on tackle for loss on the goal line last year on 4th down to basically put an end to A&M's hopes of winning the football game. I just he had the big game versus Mississippi State, and he had a big game versus Vanderbilt at home too. This just feels like a big like one of these senior guys spots that like a veteran type dude that has not only made a play in the previous like last year's game, but he's that presence that we have. That he's a dangerous player. He may not be like a Colin Simmons, right? But you forget about him, right? The second you forget about him, that's the second that you messed up. Man, Ethan Burke, I got a really good feeling that he is going to be known as like a Longhorn legend for 2 great plays versus Texas A&M that basically seal a deal. And I got a gut feeling with that one. So I think he's gonna have a seal the deal type defensive play. Free beer for the rest of his life in Austin.
2 great answers. I'm going with the pup, the guy that's going to turn Marcel Reed over sometime in this game. It's going to be a pivotal. Wow, cannot talk. It's going to be a big turnover. All right. Cade Phillips, give me CB2. The young pup at some point in this game makes a big play. I think his confidence has definitely grown since he was on the field, a lot. There's some there in the second half in Starkville, up until, on the field against Georgia. Saw him on the field last week. I like where he's at in his progression. And again, y'all had some great answers. One of those might have been mine, but that's normally the case. And so give me Cade Phillips. Cade's gonna make a play, man. He's gonna step up and do something big to help Texas find a win in this game, to help Texas's defense. Just like you said, Texas's defense, help them out. So great calls by you guys. I was normally when mine gets taken, I pass them up. Can't do it. I'm sticking with my guns. We're doubling down. Cade Phillips is making plays for Texas. Last thing, guys. 1 through 10, where's your confidence level at that Texas wins this game?
Go ahead, Nash.
I can't wait for this,
dude. I'm almost afraid to say it. I got to go with my gut. I've already kind of said it. I think Ethan Burke makes one like the game stopping play on defense. I got a 9, man. I'm really confident in this Texas team to go out there and handle business. I mean, this is just like I think it's a culture game. It's a testament to Steve Sarkisian's culture at the University of Texas. The defense, they've had some bad games recently. They're going up against a really talented wide receiver core, like y'all talked about. I mean, Caleb Phillips is playing some really good football lately. He's a really young guy. He's been getting some great experience. I think that experience that he's gotten pays off in this game. You look at Grayson Littleton. Grayson Littleton's a guy that he's gone up against Jeremiah Smith and locked him down. I mean, these are some young guys that can actually go out there and play some good football. And if we get those 2 dudes if they're on a game, and you have that with Malik Muhammad, now all of a sudden, hey, now y'all got to get stuff on the back end over Jelani McDonald and Michael Taft, right? And, man, I'm really confident in this Texas defense. I know that they haven't really given us any reason to have some confidence. But you pair that, man, with the Arch Manning that we've seen over the last few weeks, I think that you get the 300-yard game, 3 touchdowns. He takes care of the football. I think we're going to get the turnovers that we need to do to win the turnover margin. And Texas is going to walk away with the game with a victory. But I do think the thing that I'm most confident in saying, this is going to be a close game. A&M is not going to give up. Texas could have a 30-0 lead, and I wouldn't be feeling happy. Like I'd be like, this is going to be a 3-point game at the
end. I don't know. I feel like you might be the highest. You're normally the highest. Steven, can you top that?
No. No. But that's why
delusion fuels my predictions, brother.
That's why Brother Nash is here, man. I mean, this is the hopium. This is the Kool-Aid hour. Now, and honestly, he's a lot of what he's saying. There's fact based data behind it. He's not just pulling it out of his what, right? I see there's a method to the madness with what Nash is doing, and I appreciate it. For me, Nash, you said earlier you'll believe it when you see it when it comes to the Texas run game. I'm sorry, brother. That's where I'm at with this defense right now. They've allowed 30 points 4 straight games now. Again, every quarterback we've played, the only person that the only one I'm giving them a good grade on that they did well against was Mateer. Everybody else has, whether, even Cutter Boley was completed 31 passes against us. And it's just I do think that there's a break or disconnect somewhere. The personnel that Nash went over. I'm with the personnel. I want to make that clear. I don't think that this is even a personnel thing. I think there's a disconnect in what we do coverage wise versus what we're doing in our fronts, and they're just not aligned the way I'd like. And there's too much miscommunication. The miscommunication, Texas fans try to tell me, oh, when Michael Taft comes back, problem solved. No, problem's not solved because this is bigger than him. It's big, and they're all seemingly, when they're confused, they just play a mile off. And they haven't shown the ability. I haven't seen consistent playmaking ability from them where they come up and challenge people. So until I see that, I cannot give them the benefit of the doubt. And then you're marrying that with, yes, a hot quarterback, a much improved offensive line, some receivers that are playing very well that give us a chance, but will our run game show up? So for that, I can't go any higher than a 5. I'm going a 5 because, yes, we are playing at home. And I do believe that we do rise up to the level of our opponent. But until I see the penalty stuff cleaned up, the penalty stuff hasn't been cleaned up. They still had 7 penalties last week. They still got called for holding on crucial holding calls, crucial Warren Roberson penalties. Yet they still continue to put the boy out there, and he's playing better on defense right now to me than he is even special teams. But there seems to be a flag associated. So until I see until I see us stop beating ourselves, y'all not going to get the benefit of the doubt from me because I've been burned too many times at this point. Will they get up for A&M? Hell yes. It's on. There's a thing with being spoiler energy, which is why I'm going to put myself smack in the middle right now, and we'll see what Texas team shows up and for how long they show up.
I also do guys. A little bit all over the place as always here on Inside Texas Live. I feel good, but I almost feel crazy to sit here and say like a 7. I don't know, because A&M has found ways to win. I really like what you just said there, Steven. There's so much motivation. I don't like the bye week before. Essentially, call it what it is. Samford bye week, same thing. Yeah, you ran your starters out there for a few series. I get it, but I don't know, man. I'm gonna just say a 5 for now. It's Monday. We'll see where I go in the week. I've watched half of A&M's 11 games, or almost half of A&M's 11 games. I got 6 games to go. Then again, in my personal opinion, I think it comes down to the O-line versus these blitz packages. Arch Manning versus secondary. I think we'll do a good enough job of bowing up in the red zone, maybe getting on a couple of stops, forcing A&M to kick some field goals. But I do think A&M, does have some explosives in there. So, sorry to leave you, on a bit of an island, Nash, but it's going to be a good one, man. I would be shocked, by 17, pick 6, kick return, 50-yard field goal. Yeah, let's go. We need that. Need that in my life so bad. Texas won that game by 17, we'd be insufferable. But then A&M fans would just turn around and say, well, at least we're going to the playoffs. And we'd have to wait a week before we can come back, chirp, bookmark, or bring back the bookmarks. So just win the dang game. Go win it by 50. Really impress people. Give the committee something to think about. Not that they won't be thinking about it either way. Texas probably carries a little bit of weight. The brand, the old Texas name. Who has the better special teams?
Ooh,
So I'm gonna be
what a
honest with you.
stat.
KC Concepcion, in my opinion, is the best punt returner in America. I think Ryan Anilla is a good one and will be right there behind him. He scares the ever living hell out of me a little bit on punt return. Sorry for the take, guys. But again, they've had some big kicking issues. Trotting out the backup kicker last week. I mean, it's the 10th game of the season. First time they're running the backup out there. That tells you about all you need to know about how the starter is performing. And so, I'd say we have the better punter. I'd say so overall, I'd give it to Texas, but I do respect A&M on special teams, and they have made things happen with that unit. But yeah, I mean, we'll see, guys. It's going to be a fun game. It's Texas A&M. I'm honestly just glad the game is back. There's definitely a path to victory for Texas. Be successful on third down on offense, bow up in the red zone, limit A&M explosives, and as cliche as it is, Texas has to win the turnover battle. You got to set this offense up with some short fields. Special teams can be a part of that. Flip field position is going to take all three phases. A&M is a good team. Elko is a damn good coach. But at the end of the day, man, we're at home. Senior night. Let's go support the guys. Get out there. Be loud. Don't eat too much on Thanksgiving. You don't want to be stuffed and just be, drowsy and being one of those guys that's just going through the motions as a fan. You got to rile it up. Get the people in your section going. But everyone have a good Thanksgiving. This is Fanatic Perspective. Mr. Steven, Mr. Nash. Check them out on YouTube doing their own thing all the time, on Twitter, holding it down for us burnt orange-blooded folks. But, always fun to be here with you guys. And, again, go hop on over to Inside Texas right now. Get you a subscription for $1. But this is the Rivalry Takeover Week presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, and we'll catch y'all next time.